why.
As Muslims, we can't be anti-Semitic. Did you know that? Because
well, no offense, not you, but a lot of your Muslim friends, I think.
Our prophet was a Semitic.
So you're telling me that Muslims cannot be anti-Semitic? That it's part of your sacred creed?
Muslims cannot be against any religion. We are taught to coexist with peace and harmony with every religion.
In that video, a British Muslim said, as Muslims, we can't be anti-Semitic because we are taught to respect and coexist with all religions. Later in that same interview, he accuses Israel of being an apartheid state and said Islam opposes apartheid. As I always say, when a Muslim makes a claim about Islam, it's more than likely that the exact opposite will be true. So does Islam teach Muslims to respect and coexist in peace and harmony with everyone? And does it oppose apartheid? Let's find out. So in Islam, Allah says the Muslims are the best nation ever created. They are the best of people, whilst non-Muslims are the worst of people. Polytheists are a dirty people, the Jews are the most vile of people, and the Christians are a people of misguidance whose belief insults Allah. In Islam's paradigm, disbelief in Allah and belief in other gods is seen as the root of all evil. So it is the disbelief and false belief of non-Muslims that makes them the worst of people, according to Allah. Their disbelief is evil. For this reason, Allah commands Muslims not to be friends with disbelievers or to even show them affection. Muhammad also says Muslims must not be friends with non-Muslims. They should not be friends with non-Muslims because the religion of the Muslims will be the religion of their friends. So Muslims should not live amongst the non-Muslims as well. Because Allah is basically a paranoid and weak God. He fears if Muslims mix with disbelievers, this will lead to corruption in the land because the disbelief of the non-Muslims will corrupt the beliefs of the Muslims in him, leading to a weakening of Islam. And that would defeat the whole point of Islam, which is to rule all religion and the world. So Muslims must not mix with non-Muslims to ensure their belief in Allah is not corrupted. They must not live amongst the non-Muslims, and they must not be friends with non-Muslims. There is no dispute amongst the scholars about this. Muslims are commanded by law not to be friends with disbelievers. But it gets worse. Allah's hatred for non-Muslims in the Quran is so strong that the scholars agree that Muslims are also commanded to hate non-Muslims. Hate them because Allah hates them. Hate them because their disbelief is the biggest of crimes against Allah, making non-Muslims the enemies of Islam. But it gets even worse. Allah commands Muslims to treat non-Muslims with harshness whilst being kind to the Muslims. Muhammad led by example, showing Muslims how to be cruel to non-Muslims just because they are non-Muslims. So the scholars agree Muslims are commanded to treat the non-Muslims badly. Be hostile to them. Be hostile to them because they are not Muslims. But it gets even worse. Allah hates non-Muslims so much, he commands Muslims to wage war against them until they convert to Islam or submit to Islamic rule by paying the jizya just because of their disbelief. So the scholars agree that Allah commands Muslims to attack the non-Muslims just because they are not Muslim. Attack them even if they have never attacked you. Attack them until they convert to Islam or pay the jizya and accept Islamic rule over them. The jizya is a discrimination tax imposed upon non-Muslims as a punishment for their disbelief. It is forced upon the non-Muslim in order to humiliate them and to spare their life. So, after non-Muslims have been attacked for no reason and forced to convert to Islam or accept Islamic rule, they are then punished by law for the crime of being a non-Muslim in their own lands that the Muslims have just stolen from them. Non-Muslims who agree to pay the jizya and live under Islamic rule are assigned the status of a dhimmi. Dhimmis are second-class citizens with less rights than Muslims. The scholars agree Allah commands that non-Muslims living under Islamic law must be treated as an inferior, subjugated class of people who must live beneath the Muslims in a state of complete humiliation. When they pay the jizya, the non-Muslims must do so whilst having their cheeks slapped and their beard pulled by the Muslims in order to humiliate them. Under Islamic law, non-Muslims must not be greeted first, and they must show respect to passing Muslims by moving to the narrowest part of the street, just as Muhammad said. They must give up their seats if a Muslim wants to sit down. Under Islam, non-Muslims must shave the front of their heads. and wear different clothes so they can be identified as non-Muslims. Under Islamic law, non-Muslims cannot practice their faith freely. They face severe restriction on how they can practice it, whilst they can't even repair or build new places of worship. Non-Muslims living under Islamic law can never be in a position of authority over a Muslim. They must always be in a state of inferiority to Muslims. So that means you'll have job discrimination as well. Under Islamic law, a non-Muslim's life literally has less value than a Muslim's life. Under Islamic law, the non-Muslims must live in their own area separate from the Muslims. We know this because Muslims are commanded not to live amongst the Muslims. That's called apartheid. All of this humiliation is for the lucky ones, because most scholars say that polytheists cannot be offered the option of becoming a dhimmi and must be attacked until they convert or be unalived. So in summary, Islam is the most intolerant, discriminatory and imperialistic religion on the planet. Muslims are not taught to respect other religions because their God literally says false belief is evil and anyone not following Islam is their enemy. Its religious texts call for its followers to hate anyone who doesn't follow it. Allah commands Muslims to never be friends with non-Muslims, to not mix with them, not to live among them. When Muslims are strong enough, they are commanded to attack non-Muslims for the crime of disbelief, forcing them to convert or submit to Islamic rule, and that's if you're lucky. Under Islamic rule, a hierarchical apartheid-style system is established where Muslims are superior to non-Muslims, who are a subjugated, humiliated second-class citizen with less rights and less worth than the Muslims. Yes, Muslims are taught to hate and mistreat non-Muslims just because of their beliefs. This explains why for 1400 years non-Muslims have been attacked and oppressed by Muslims, and it explains why in every place Muslims move to, they never integrate, they never assimilate, and they never adapt to the host nation, and they must always disproportionately attack everyone else. Islam can never live in peace and harmony with other religions, which is why it never has.